so much WebEngage team, not just for inviting me here, but also giving me the best slot right after lunch, right? The best slot that there could be. I mean, I'm sure you guys will be engaging a lot with me, and that's what I am hoping for. But thank you so much for that. Imagine not having this conversation like this, but really sitting together, having a chilled beer, and just having, a discussion, right? It would have been better. Maybe next time, hopefully, it's going to be a possibility. Uh, I am going to be covering and talking about deeper consumer relationships, and I'll focus on the partnership aspect of it that we do, and also how are we trying to build and nurture a community. But before that, I'm going to tell you a story here, okay? And this is the first time I'm trying something like this. So, and like I said again, right after lunch. So let's see how it goes, right? Maybe the story is going to put you off to sleep, or maybe it's going to be something interesting. Uh, okay, about this man is what we're going to talk about. I actually feel like this right now. And we're also going to be talking about this ostrich that you see. So, day one, the man and the ostrich went to this restaurant. Really nice restaurant, right? This is, by the way, Bira 91 tap room, which is there in Koramangala, and also we are now at Bangalore airport as well. This is not really a hard sell. If you want to try it out, please do. But coming back to the story, this restaurant, the server came and asked, what is that you would want to have? The man said, I would like to have a burger and obviously a beer, right? The server asked the ostrich, what would you like to have? The ostrich also said the same thing. I would like to have, okay, let me do it properly. I would like to have a burger and a beer. They had a good time, obviously great beers at Bira 91, and some really amazing food as well. The bill came. The bill was 1,562 rupees. How much? 1,5? Okay, great. The man put his hand in the pocket, took out the exact amount of money. How much was it? 1,562, and gave it to the server. Day two, the man and the ostrich went to the same restaurant because the food obviously was really good. The beer was obviously really good. The server came, asked, what would you like to have, sir? The man said, I would like to have a burger and a beer. Great. The server asked the ostrich, what would you like to have? The ostrich said, I would like to have a burger and a beer. They had the burger and the beer, great food, great beer. What was the amount earlier, by the way? 1,562, right? So the man put his hand in the pocket, took out exact amount of money, and gave it to the server. Day three, the man and the ostrich went to the same restaurant. The server came in, asked, what would you like to have? The man said, I would like to have a burger and a beer. The ostrich, I would like to have a burger and a beer. The food came. 1,562 gave it to the server. Day four, the man and the ostrich went to the same restaurant. The server came, asked, what is that the man asked for? Why would they have the same food for 4 days? They wanted to try something out. It was Make Play Thursday at Bira 91, right? So they ordered for pizza and beer, obviously. The ostrich got the same food, pizza and a beer. It was time to pay the bill. What was the bill amount? How could it be the same? It was different, right? So let's say it was 23,450. How much? Okay, so the man put his hand in the pocket, took out the exact amount of money, and gave it to the server. Now the server asked what we all are hopefully wondering. So I have a question for you. How do you manage to come up with the exact amount of money every time? The man said, you know what? I actually recently shifted to a new place. I was cleaning the house, and that's where I found a lamp. I was just rubbing it, and it was a magical lamp. A genie came out, said that I would grant two wishes to you. The first wish that I asked for was, I don't need $1 million or $1 billion. I would just want that I put my hand in my pocket and I should be able to get the exact amount of money that I want every time. The server actually said this is really smart. This is actually really smart, right? Like imagine asking for $1 million. You will obviously spend all that money. But here you have infinite money, right? You just basically have to put your hand in the pocket and take out exact the same amount of money. And if you think about it, it could be your car or it could be your milk bottle. You basically have the money till the time you are alive. Now, the man was like, thank you so much. This is really good. The server had another question, though. And I believe this should have been the first question that you should have led with, which was, what's with the ostrich, sir? So the man said that, the second wish, I asked for a tall chick with long legs who agrees with everything that I say. So this is the story about the man and the ostrich. Now, there definitely is some learnings from here, right? Like, why would I have an entire story without any learnings or moral of the story? What do you think is the moral of the story? Be specific with your requirements. Every day at Bira 91 tap room. But yeah, be specific. Absolutely. What else? Look for change from the pocket. Generally, be specific, right? So you be specific with what you might get what you want, but you need to still be specific with that communication. I'm kidding, actually. There is no moral of the story. I just kind of wanted to share this story with you. But going back to the beers, please. So let's come to the topic of the discussion that we have for you guys, which is, how are we brewing deeper connections? So I wanted to focus on two aspects to it. There is so much to talk about that we do, and I'm not just saying it just for the sake of it, and I'm quite happy to actually put it forward that BR91 as a brand is quite active. It's a brand on steroids. We're doing something or the other in some capacity or the other, still obviously improving, but still trying to do the best that we can. And we're doing, here I'm going to be focusing on two aspects. I'm going to focus on how are we building partnerships through content or collaborations. And the second part, which hopefully will resonate with a few of you here more, is the retention part of it or nurturing the community aspect of it. So these are the two aspects that I will try and cover. But I'll also try and talk about this, which I call the Trinity of marketing, which basically are the three C's. It talks about conflict, character, and climax. Conflict obviously is the challenge that we might be facing. Characters are the individuals or entities that really come forward, play the role of the protagonist to really drive that story forward. And climax is that high point, right, wherein you achieve what you would want to do. So it's very much like very movie specific, right? Hopefully it's going to be a little bit of a masala movie with some deep thoughts and emotions that we'll also talk about. So Bira 91, the brand's mascot is obviously a monkey, right? But the way we are kind of defining the brand is by saying that it's a playful brand. We are also talking about how it's friendly, it's smart, it is a slightly odd creature, and it's not just the brand that we're defining here, we're also defining the consumers who are having it, because if you think about it, pre-Bira 91, the beer market per se was very different than what it is right now. And it's not just us who have changed it, but hopefully, I believe, the team has played a role in bringing that paradigm shift in some capacity, especially when it comes to flavorful beers. And also, if I may say, the kind of packaging that you see, and hopefully the marketing as well, because I'm part of the marketing team, right? So hopefully that as well. Uh, there is a range of beers that we have for offer. Quite a few, actually. It's very difficult for us also to sometimes kind of keep in mind how many beers do we have. But White, by the way, was the flagship beer that we have had. And then there is a plethora of beers that we have launched. There are quite a few beers that we keep on launching as limited releases as well. One of them I will talk about as we move forward. But the challenge isn't just the fact that we have a lot of beers. The challenge also is that there are a lot of beers already available in the market. So yes, we can have a good product, and we can make sure that the packaging looks nice and appealing to the eyes of the consumers. But I hope you guys would agree that none of that will really matter if you're not able to reach out to the audience base, and more importantly, if there is no recall of the brand per se, right? So to keep that in mind, there are the first part of it comes into the picture. So I talked about the conflict aspect, right? Like these are the characters in some capacity. You see obviously the main hero, and there's a lot of supporting actors. I hope these brands don't kill me for saying that, but okay, they are co-actors, right? So there's quite a few which are there, and the brands that we just talked about are all the brands that we have associated with in the past 2 years or so, but there are quite a few more as well. From here on, I'll show you a few videos, okay? These videos primarily, hopefully, will give you a sense of the partnership that we were doing with them. Hopefully, you'll be able to also see how the personalities of the two brands come together that were getting associated. And thirdly, hopefully, you'll also see the product as well that was available for the consumers to consume, right? So we'll talk about Bira 91 boat first. Again, if there are going to be more questions regarding partnerships, what we did and what was the objective and how we went about it, if it wouldn't have been clear from the assets that you will see, I'm happy to have a conversation offline. I have to stick to the time frame that has been given to me as well, right? So from here on, there are going to be a few videos that will play with one slide like this for the other two brands as well, wherein I'll do some context setting. So we'll start with Bira 91 and Boat. Here's something that we did with them.
Bira exposed, gets a boom. Wow, yeah, she got me tripping like boom, boom, boom. I like the way she move, move, move. We be buzzing like the city and sipping no more. I be going just sick, come on baby, let's go. मेरा घर लगे क्लब लगे पब लॉबी से लेके या कॉटम या बना पड़ा हब सारे साउंड में मगन चले मूव जैसे क्रूज बॉडी लूज खेले फूज हाउस पार्टी में मैं फूस सारे खाने पानी की कहानी आते जाते सारे राइट देखो लेफ्ट देखो बैक देखो मेरे पास बड़ा पोट मेरा बैग देखो I be losing all my days piece map देखो yeah, she got me tripping like boom 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 I like the way she move 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 we be buzzing like the city and sipping no more what's your boat baby let's go boom 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 I like the way she move 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 we be buzzing like the city and sipping no more what's your boat baby let's go.
So what were the products that we launched with them, guys? What do you think were the products that we launched with them? Okay, speakers and headphones, right? So that's something that Boat is into. This is primarily done with the boom variant that we have. It's very interesting, and hopefully, maybe offline, I'll be happy to talk about it as well, because there's a range of beers that we have for offer. Each beer has its own personality, in a way is its own brand as well. So that was Bira 91 Boat, very different category altogether. We'll move on to IPL. We have similar brand films for both. Here I'm going to focus on the Delhi Capitals one, not because I am from Delhi, but because this was our first IPL partnership as well before Mumbai Indians. Right now, we also have partnerships with KKR, Hyderabad, and a couple of others as well. But here, let's see what we did with Delhi Capitals.
Delhi Capitals looking for 2 wins in a row tonight, trying to build a winning streak. David Warner making a couple of changes to the lineup. He decided to back run
talk about House of the Dragon. Do you know about House of the Dragon? It's a prequel to Game of Thrones. When I got to know that we are going to be collaborating with them, and we made both beer, which was a limited release beer, and also merchandise as well. Some of the merchandise still will be available on our merch store. Not trying to, again, hard sell it, but it is available there. There's some really nice mugs, by the way. Wooden mugs really give you a feel like you're sitting in a tavern rather than a bar. But coming back when we collaborated with House of the Dragon, we were collaborating with both the APAC region and the US team as well. And apart from the massive guidelines that we have to follow, we had to follow, me being a Game of Thrones fan, I basically watched the entire Game of Thrones and yes, season 8 as well in like a week, just to kind of get into the mood. So I felt like I was living that life, right? And then House of the Dragon happened, and watching it every Tuesday morning, because Monday evenings when it used to come in, and being late in the office because of that, and then giving an excuse. It was kind of getting a bit crazy for me, honestly. But more importantly, what it really did for us was to create something which kind of fit into that not just that genre, but that age in some capacity. We made dragon eggs, by the way. We really made dragon eggs. I have a few still left in my Delhi office, and we put them across like different markets in like multiple restaurant chains, third party, obviously, and created a kind of a setup to just make sure that people were aware of the collaboration that you were doing, because this was a big collaboration for our brand Bira 91. We were not just collaborating with a series, we were collaborating with Warner, which is a global entertainment giant, right? So this is pretty big, and we wanted to kind of talk about it from that perspective, just like we would want to talk about a boat, just like you would want to talk about the IPL teams or cricket in general. So I'm going to play a very small CGI video that we had made. It was made in-house, like kind of like in a way like overnight, quickly kind of storyboarding, etc. So again, it'll give you a sense of the product in the end, and it's a short video. So let's play the next one, please. I'm quite close to this campaign just because, like I said, again, I'm really close to, not close, but like I like the series in general, right? So this was a pretty fun, interesting way of getting to do what you love from a brand perspective also. We're going to spend some time here, right? Because the idea was not just to kind of pass the time and show you some videos so that maybe I can catch my breath. The idea was to talk about these characters, because this is something that we kind of realized, which was that as Bira 91 as a brand, and hopefully I'm assuming all of you are aware of Bira 91 as a brand, or were aware of it, right? How many are already aware of Bira 91 as a brand? Doesn't matter if you don't drink. You aware of Bira 91 as a brand? So you've done something right, right? So the idea here was not just to focus on people who consume beer, but the idea was just to make sure that people are aware of the brand in general. What is that the brand stands for? We can call it awareness, we can call it recall. And if you look at it, and there are quite a few others, we have been associated with ICC for the past 5 years. This is our 5th year in association with them. So if you are or going to be watching the matches, Pakistan versus Netherlands, I believe, is going on right now. Pakistan batting first, by the way. So if you are going to be watching the matches, you will hopefully see the Bira 91 branding as well there. The idea of collaborating all of them, if you will see, they're all very different, right? In some capacity, different in different industries as well. What it does is not just us getting some really cool content or partnerships out of them, but what it also does is we are able to reach out to a much wider and maybe untapped audience base as well that we were not really able to do. So again, this partnerships is not just helping us get sales, but it also is making sure that there is that larger recall and awareness which we're able to generate. And with each one of them being very, very, very different, we are able to hopefully reach out to that market as well, them getting exposed of what Bira 91 is, the kind of beers or products, merchandise here that we have for offer, and hopefully them trying it out as well. So these are the people who are trying it out at the end of the day, right? The consumers who are trying it out. Now, can the whole thing be just limited to that, wherein we say that, hey, we will make sure that we, with whatever money or different partnerships that we're able to crack, let's just make sure that there is enough and more awareness? No, there has to be much more than that. We wouldn't want the association to be as tactical as they saw something or they saw an asset and that's why they know of Bira 91. If someone has come to us and they have started, say, consuming our beers or purchasing the merchandise from a merch store, we want to make sure that we are able to build and hopefully nurture a community with them as well. And that's where the next part comes into the picture. The character here is the Bira 91 Make Play app. We'll go to the next one. We'll play this video. We'll give you a sense of what the product is all about and what are we trying to do with that and how can people really use it also. Let's play the video, please.
Yeah, yeah.
So from here on, when I will move my hand, you can keep on switching, right? You'll have to kind of break the fourth wall as well in between, right? So if we move on to the next bit, Bira 91 Make Play app, I believe all of us kind of get a sense. It's a loyalty program, basically, right? It's available both on Android and on iOS. You download it. How do you download it? The QR code is there on the cans. You can download it from the pints as well. So basically, you've got our bases covered. When someone is purchasing the beers, we have changed the packaging and made sure that the QR code is right there for them to download the app. Now, once they download the app, there is a lot that they can do. But before they do that, we've got the basis covered in terms of how do they earn points. Now, it's a very simple process. You download the app. You are able to, you get 6 points every beer that you put in there. You accumulate those points, and then you can earn rewards from the 50 plus different brands that we have. Now, it could be, so basically your beer can get you a coffee, or the beer could sponsor your next Uber ride, or the beer could actually maybe make sure that you are able to travel the next time, right? So it's basically anything and everything that hopefully beer lovers and in general consumers would want to have. But it's not just limited to that, because the idea is to nurture the community, like I said, right? So here, what we're really doing is we are making sure that the beers it's not just the beer, the liquid, or the packaged thing that they're getting more out of their beer every time. But apart from that, it also means that they're able to get announcements, notifications, passes that hope we will be integrating soon of experiential or events that are going to be there. So it basically hopefully becomes, it's a overused word, but like a one-stop shop per se for them to be connected with the brand in general. So we'll come back to these guys, right? These 4, 5 odd guys who are obviously our consumers. So keeping in mind the conflict, which obviously is there, and the character, which is make play app, the idea here really is to make sure that the association with them doesn't end with them looking at the screen and seeing, hey, I can see a monkey there, or looking at the Crocs that they're able to get and see that, hey, this design is like very Bira 91 or beer specific, or the House of Dragon merchandise that I talked about. But hopefully, it's much more than that. Hopefully, it's more than it. So for them, whenever they purchase a beer, they get more out of that, and hopefully that means that they will stay with us also for a longer period of time. So that's basically what I've had for you guys as Bira 91 make play with flavors, which is our tagline. I'm happy to take questions if there are any. I will not be able to talk about any numbers, unfortunately, but offline, if you feel like there is a much more intimate discussion that you would want to have, happy to have that as well. But thank you. You can show them my picture, please. Next. So it's an old picture. You can connect with me here as well. And if you don't get to speak after this, we can always connect on LinkedIn and through that over phone as well. But this was, thank you for bearing with it, right? With me moving a lot of my hands and everything, and with the interruptions. I hope this was something interesting, if nothing else. But thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. It's the pin code, the India code, right? 91, right? It's an Indian brand, no? It has to have the all those elements there, right?
So my question is regarding the loyalty program that you have built. So you have done, like, you have shown lot of partnerships, and whatever you have done, you are working with ICC as well. That is a very big in India. So
Is he audible? He's not
Shall I
audible to
repeat?
me for some reason. I don't
so
know.
my question is regarding the loyalty program.
Sure.
So you have invested a lot in partnerships, like marketing and all.
Hmm.
But as I
I'm
can,
not trying to intimidate you. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
so my question is related to how is your loyalty app performing? Because as I can see on Google Play Store, maybe your audience is not using the Android.
Absolutely. Great.
So how does it performing really, and since when it is launched?
So it's been a few months that we have launched it. The approach that we're taking right now is not to do acquisition, to be very honest. The idea is to focus on making sure that people are able to discover it on their own. We are using social media to make sure that people are aware of it, first of all. Our Beer 91 consumers, is what we have understood, are quite smart, honestly speaking, right? So because they believe in experimental beers, so they are able to also figure out certain other things that are associated with it. We have intentionally not really spent on acquisition at this point of time, but we focus on making sure that whenever there are events that we are a part of, be it ours or third party, and we have our bars, etc. there, we communicate about it there. So primarily, we are focusing on our social media channels a little bit to make sure that people are aware of it. And the second bit is the events or experientials to make sure that people are aware. It's an interesting phase for us because this is something really new for a brand like Bira 91, and in a way, in this industry. So we would want to make sure that we don't bombard just ads just for the sake of it, and try to be as organic as possible for people to discover, first of all, and then try it out, and then make sure that we remain connected with whatever audience that we have. I can't talk about the numbers, unfortunately. Maybe offline we will be able to talk about it more, but that's the approach for phase one, is what we are taking at this point in time. Yeah?
Okay.
Answer? Yeah, okay.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi, Abhishek.
How are you?
Abhishank.
Abhishek.
But it's okay. If it was a bad session, you can blame Abhishek.
It was a great session. I think one of the greatest memories I have is free beer from Bira at a Levi's concert.
Okay.
So that's it. Quick question. See, Bira as a brand has been discovered, and a lot of us know it. And we know the alcohol industry is under a lot of regulations. So going forward, how important is it for Bira? And I'm sure you must have it to be talking around the brand purpose to acquire customers in the future.
So when you say brand purpose, you mean
For example, let's say even Kingfisher, and it's a loosely held down when they say King of Good Times, they built it around lifestyle, and that was their proposition for a long time, and still is. So how do you see Bira playing out that?
it's a great question, and I think if you look at it, for all the brands, it is really that, right? Like as much as they have the copyright over King of Good Times, every beer is really, or alcohol, or any item in this industry is really focusing on making sure that you have a good time. Right? Budweiser also trying to do the same thing. Hogarden is, we are also are doing the same thing. What we are trying to cultivate, like I very briefly mentioned, with the range of different beers that we have, each one of them also is a brand on its own. So, for example, when you talk about Boom, which I covered, it's very like nightlife and like music and whatnot, is the personality of the brand that we focus on. Which means that when we are focusing on catering to the kind of influencers or brands or associations that we will do, it is in that domain that we focus on. Which means that hopefully, with the audience also, see that in some capacity. When you look at White, which is our flagship beer, it has more of a laid back summer, you're having a barbecue kind of the whole personality that has been created, which is how we try and communicate when we work with influencers or we work with otherwise. So there is Bira 91 as a brand that people hopefully see. And then for every beer product that we have, which is their own brand in its own capacity, we are able to convey that message to them. Now, how are we really able to do it? We obviously still talk about having a good time. We call it in our own way, make play, right? And when we say make play with flavors, flavors is the flavorful beers that we are, creating. So it is very much on the same lines, communities, building, experientials that we are able to create, third-party events that we are able, people try it out, have a good time while they're listening to music, etc. So we're doing all of that, but customizing it and personalizing it to fit the brand personality that we have created.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Shreya, this side.
Hi.
So I have a question. So we watched 3 videos. One was with Boat, another one was with Delhi Capitals, and another one was with the House of Dragons. With Boat, it's more like a funky or a modern kind of a brand. With the Delhi Capitals, it's more of a sporty kind of a thing. What was your story behind the collaborating or partnering with the House of Dragons? Because with House of Dragons.
With House of the Dragon?
Why I'm asking this question is because from the Indian point of view, you could have, let's say, partnered with Mirzapur, but what was your reason or what was the story behind House of Dragons?
So let's talk about it in two capacities, right? One, which is something that I think is we all hopefully will agree with, which is the fact that after the immense success of Game of Thrones, which basically is, I believe, hopefully some of you guys will agree, one of the most, not just most watched shows, but one of the most talked shows as well, with prequel of it coming in House of the Dragon. It was already, it already would have been a success is how everyone was perceiving it, right? As a show I'm talking about. So it kind of makes sense for us to associate with House of the Dragon as a property, but more importantly, Warner Brothers as a larger brand, which is a global brand as well. And that gives us that, hopefully, that larger reach and establishes us a bit differently as well, because it's a global brand that you're associating with, just like ICC is, right? A global conglomerate brand association, right? So that's basically is the first part to it. The second part to it is that it happened during the September-October period. The beer that we're calling it's called Fest. but it's also Oktoberfest lager. So we wanted to kind of deep dive into the Oktoberfest and that whole aspect that is basically there with this beer. So we are able to launch something which is shown a lot during the show, which is beer consumption. They might call it ale, but it's still beer, right? We are able to show something, but we are still able to do it in a capacity that is still modern in some way and is able to associate with the larger crowd through Oktoberfest or fest as a word, which is all about celebration, which is ironical because there's a lot of deaths that happen in the series. But then again, that's a two-part to why we did what we did.
WebEngage. Retention simplified.